one it was, but we made it so that it was hidden and nobody ever knows, except for us.
Except you told everyone. Right? So everyone knows now. Today we're going to have another scrap build day for you and another decorating item. So we're going to turn a piece of 2x6 like this, dimensional lumber, into a very nice lamp like this. As always, we're going to show you tips and tricks and everything you need to know so you can do this same project by yourself. So stick around. Always start by cutting the pieces you need to assemble your project and cut them to the approximate or exact length depending on the project. For this project, the exact length was required. And this is our first cut and it establishes the height of our piece, right? Mm-hmm. We're going to do the same thing with the top and bottom. So as those of you that have been in our channel before know, we don't really like to use measuring tapes unless we actually have to, right? And we like this dimension here, which of course happens to be the same dimension as the cut-off piece we have.
Right.
And we want it a square, so we're going to use the piece we cut to make sure that we have a square.
Okay.
And that's how you avoid using measuring tapes, ladies and gentlemen. So like we use often, we're going to use some offcuts we have. And in this case, our offcuts of 2x6 that we cut the dimension we wanted, and next we're going to resaw them, right?
Right.
And we're going to resaw them to about roughly half the size they are now.
Yep.
So we have one dimension. This is going to be our top and bottom, and this is going to be our sides. And we plan to make miters in the corners.
Right.
Excellent. Again, we've used a very rudimentary, we've made a very rudimentary jig here. It says do not discard. Mm-hmm. So we're not going to use it for another project. And this happens to be the exact dimension we want if you want to cut in half a 2x. As you can see here, if you do it correctly, right? That's an important aspect of this. And now we can lock our fence and we have the dimension. So the next step will be to square them. Oh, these pieces, because they're dimensional lumber, they have a curve built into them, and we want them to be nice and sharp. So all we're going to do is put it here on the saw. We're going to run it through and we're going to square it. Square all the pieces from one side so you don't have to keep repeating, changing the distance between your blade and your fence. And now we have a nice, as you can see, very sharp edge. So once you have done that for all your pieces on one side, you just need to reset your saw, which means we're going to move it a little, about an eighth towards the blade, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll do the other side. As you see, the other side is still
Rounded. Yep.
rounded. So we're going to put our piece here. And as you can see, we just have to... Is that enough? Yeah?
Looks
Okay.
good.
We're going to do that in all pieces, and then we'll shoot that up with square pieces. As I mentioned earlier, square one side on all your pieces and then square the other side. That way you only have to move your fence one or twice versus you have to go back and forward, which actually make it harder to keep a standard dimension for your pieces. This way, not only you save time, but you ensure that all the pieces will be the same width. As you can see here, I'm taking a very sliver of the wood. I'm not wasting a lot of wood. I'm just taking away the round over so it would look nice and sharp. The table saw is the best tool for this process if you have one. We are sanding all the miters because miters tend to show small imperfections, and the boards already have some imperfections. One of our boards is kind of bowed, and we might have to use a little bit of wood putty there, but that is part of the charm of the piece, right? And also part of the fun of working with dimensional lumber. It is not perfect by any means. Next, find the center of your base by going from corner to corner. This is not critical. You can also approximate this setting. Excellent. And in our case, our appliance came with this little ring, which is the perfect dimension, and we're going to use it to find the correct drill bit for this. I found paddle bits to be excellent tools for this kind of holes, and I use them exclusively, giving up on my old Forstner bits that usually require much lower speeds and burn.
Alright. Looking good. So as you can see, we taped this just to try to prevent as much rip out as possible. We also put a scrap piece underneath to prevent any blowout on the bottom. Let's see. Yeah, that's a pretty clean drill hole. And now we'll take these pieces off. Pretty darn clean. And one of the reasons why is these paddle bits are a little bit aggressive, so they can do some tear out. We also wanted to support this bottom baseboard to prevent it from cracking as well if possible, and so far we did. So what we need to do right now is make a relief cut so that the cord fits on the bottom of this base and does flat and stays flat so that the lamp isn't wonky as you set it on the table. So what we've done is align our base piece with the blade and rolled it down to where it's about 1/4 of an inch high, maybe a little bit more, that top tooth there, so that when the cord is there, it's going to come down, it'll have a channel that it sits in, and it just lays flat.
This is pretty straightforward. Once you find the middle, you are pushing the blade until you see it through the opening there in the hole, and you stop.
One won't be quite enough.
No, we have to do it a couple of times. So, one of you go up front and tell me where. We can go right or left. But
Back that way some. Yeah.
there.
Yep. Back up.
There is no danger for keep back here because you are not going through the wood. Just be slow and careful, and again, look for the blade through the hole, and you will know you're going to be in the exact spot when you need to stop. We'll check our cable. If we need to make another one, we'll make another one, right?
Alright, so we're doing the test fit for this cable, and those 2 passes with the blade are actually perfect for the cable that we have. So that's going to make it fit very snugly and hopefully not wiggle around or come out.
Okay,
if we're moving
excellent.
around.
We're going to show you how to do the next step, but technically it's not the next step. It will happen after we finish the piece, right? So you take the appliance you bought, the socket, and you're going to insert it through the hole you made. And this is a nice snug fit. And if you see, it came from underneath, and it's going to very nicely. There are many light kits that differ on how you need to do this, so we're going to make another video to show you how to do it with different kits. Set all your pieces next to each other as you're going to assemble them, and then in every joint we're going to put a piece of painter's tape, and that will act both as a glue and as an alignment tool, right?
Right.
And then we're going to turn it over and start gluing it. So I guess the next step is to turn them this way. So the next step is to glue the joints and simply fold the piece up, right? The gluing process is straightforward. Put enough glue to totally cover one of the 2 surfaces of the joint. You do not need to do both, in fact that can be harmful. Then use your finger or anything else to spread the glue to be as even as you want it to be. Make sure you also do the last surface because you're going to have to connect the 2 pieces in the end. The glue we're using here is Titebond, but you can use any brand you desire. Do only one. A common mistake is people want to glue both surfaces. You don't need to do that. You only do one surface. So now lift the piece together. Folding the pieces together is very rewarding for some reason, and it always shows you almost immediately the finished product. So part of the reward is that the other part is how easily it goes together, as the tape acts both as a clamp and as an alignment tool. So because this is dimensional lumber, even though our miters are good, the lumber is not perfect. So we're using a little putty on the corners And that works great if you paint it or stain it. If you stain it, just make sure you get a wood putty that is stain ready, right?
Mm-hmm.
The putty will say, if it does not say for stain, do not use it. It will not stain, right? But most everything will paint.
So this one, for instance, is what we're using. It does say stainable and paintable. We're not sponsored. This is just some that we purchased ourselves, and we have.
If you paint it, most wood putties will accept paint.
Mm-hmm.
Now when you do something like that, it means you cannot Suzuki bang because the wood putty will burn and will leave a big gap, right?
Right.
Alright, so you do that everywhere you see a gap. You need to apply a fair amount of pressure here because you want the wood putty to go in the joint, so when you sand it, it will look absolutely perfect. Now if you don't want to have to fix a little bit of misalignment on your miters, then use something more stable like this kind of lumber that will give you perfect crisp lines versus the little bowing and the little imperfections you get from dimensional lumber, right? So if you're going to make this project and you want it to look less rustic or less imperfect, then use this type of wood. This is a very stable wood, right?
And the reason why you're saying it's more stable is because this was glued together at the factory. You can see the seams where they've taken really straight lumber, milled it, and put it together to where it's
well, that's
very
the case,
straightforward.
already milled to a perfect dimension where
Right.
dimensional lumber is always plus or minus. You know?
Right.
It's never perfect. We do not mind that look. Actually, I really like that look. I like rough looking things, but if that is something that bothers you, the same techniques we saw you will work with something like this. So once your wood putty has dried, a little bit of sanding will take any of the roughness away and it will make your surface nice and smooth. You can do that by hand or you can use a power sander. The drying time depends on many factors. The brand, how dry your wood putty was when you started, how humid is there when you're working. But in general, 1 to 2 hours is the recommended. If it is dry, your wood putty is dry, then you can do that sooner. So with sanding complete, we are getting ready to stain the piece. Again, this is a matter of preference. It could stay the way it is right now, right? As you can see, it looks very nice, or it could be painted. And technically, pieces like that would look good if you were to burn it using the Suzuki bang method. It's a little bit rainy today here, and we decided not to go that route, even though usually we like that route.
Okay.
Finish is a matter of preference and taste, and one of the strong points of DIY projects, because here you can let your imagination go wild. We chose a stain because we like the look of stains, but definitely you can paint it, you can leave it natural, or you can oil it. There are all kinds of options you can do here. And for this project, some type of oil can make it aromatic because the heat of the lamp will make the oil evaporate and it's going to generate a very nice aroma in your environment. So you have many options, but our choice is stain.
So now the stain has dried and we are starting to put the first coat of poly. You'll have to assess whether you want a second coat or not, right?
Right.
But getting started with the first one, just to give it a little bit of a sheen. Today it seems to have dried pretty quickly, so hopefully the poly does as well.
This is not a necessary step, but we decided to put a few, not a few, 4 feet underneath, right?
Yep.
And we're going to cut some cork we have in our bandsaw, but you can use any saw you have. Since we have a bandsaw, it makes sense for us to use it for this specific cut, but do not let that disappoint you. You do not need a bandsaw to do anything on this project, and in most cases the project we make can be done easily with hand tools. We just have the power tools and we use them. So we cut our 4 elevated feet and we are going to use some hot glue, which is hot, to attach them. We chose not to finish the underside of the lamp, but of course it's up to you if you want to do it or not. This is not a necessary step. However, it will make the lamp look a little better because it will be a little elevated not flush with the surface of the table. Of course, using some form of legs also protect the surface that the lamp will sit on from any scratches. You can also buy ready-made, even plastic or cork ones, but if you have something to make it yourself, it keeps your cost down and makes it even more specific, more special to you and more customized. But this is a not necessary step. The good part about the hot glue is that it's virtually instantaneous, so we can immediately turn it over and see if we like the height, right?
If you don't, you start over.
Can you turn it over?
Yeah.
Okay, that looks good, I think. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I like it.
All right, now on to the next step.
Okay, so now we're going to wrap this in a twine that we have, starting off with some hot glue to hold the first piece in place. And again, remember, hot glue is hot, so use something else other than your finger to press it into place. Just to zoom back out to show you, this is the back of our lamp, so we're starting in the back here so you won't see the start from the front as you're looking at the lamp. And now we're going to get started with wrapping. And you want to have it as level as you can get it. You want to have it pretty taut. Not so much that it's like pulling it off the lamp, but enough that it's going to hold it in place essentially. And this serves as a shade, a non-removable shade really, but it serves as a shade for the lamp to diffuse the light from the bulb. So we're going to keep wrapping on this until we reach the height that we like, and again, this is just a matter of preference. You can do it as high or as low as you like, and we'll come back and show you the results.
Okay, so this was an interesting build. What did we learn out of this build, ladies?
Dimensional lumber can be challenging.
It is challenging, but it's also very rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the hardest part of the build?
I think the hardest part of the build was just making sure that we had a way to include the electrical wiring and then the steps in order that they needed to occur to be able to accomplish that.
And that will vary very drastically based on what hardware you buy, right? In our specific cord, we had to cut the cord. And as you can see, we created a channel. The cord comes out in the middle, on the middle of the back. And it's a very nice, clean presentation, right?
Yep. And you don't even see where we had to cut the cord and put it back together.
And again, in many applications, that's not needed.
No, but for this one it was, but we made it so that it was hidden and nobody ever knows, except for us.
Except you told everyone. Right? So everyone knows now. In any case, what is the cost? The cost for wood was simply scrap wood for us, so there was no cost for wood. But even if you can buy a scrap 2x6 at either the orange or the blue store for about $2 or $3. So the wood will not be expensive for that. And then I think it was about $16 for the light bulb and the wire and the
cord.
switch.
Uh-huh.
And that brings us $20 even if you buy the wood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the twine?
It's probably, what, about a couple dollars worth of the twine, because we had some from a previous project, and the whole ball when we bought it was $10, but we probably only used a couple dollars of it.
So, worst case scenario, still around $25 or less.
Yeah.
If you have to buy absolutely everything.
Right.
Well, this is our project for today. It came out very nice.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you wanted it a more refined look, this is designed to be a little rustic. You can use non-dimensional lumber, right? Lumber that it is milled, all of it. It's really funny because it's called dimensional lumber, but it's not milled to dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Where non-dimensional lumber is actually specifically milled. There you go, to be confused, right?
Right.
But in any case, this is an easy afternoon build.
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't require a lot of tools. If you don't have power tools, you can do that with a miter box. It will just take you much longer, but it is doable, right?
Right.
All right, folks. Well, let us know if you like this episode from our Urban Homesteading channel, and if you do, we'd appreciate a thumbs up. If you didn't, hit that button twice. Share, like, subscribe. Let us know what else you might want to watch in future episodes of our channel. From Professor DIY, Elpida, and Mrs. DIY, let's build something together.